The gearbox in this car is not an off-the-shelf unit that can be easily replaced or repaired. It is specially designed for the Bugatti Veyron, a car that was built to handle extreme speed and power. This means every part inside the gearbox must work with perfect timing and precision. Even a small fault can stop the whole system from working properly. In this case, the problem with reverse gear was not just a minor inconvenience. It was a serious warning that something deeper might be wrong inside the system. When a problem like this appears in a normal car, mechanics usually start with simple checks. They test the gearbox, inspect the fluid, and replace small faulty parts. But in a Veyron, nothing is simple. Every step requires special knowledge, tools, and experience. Even opening the gearbox is a major task because of how complex and tightly engineered it is. The situation becomes even more difficult when the car has already been worked on by multiple workshops. In this case, the Veyron had been partially dismantled before McCann acquired it. Different mechanics had already removed parts, attempted repairs, and then stopped without finishing the job. This creates confusion because no one fully knows what has been done correctly and what has been done incorrectly. It becomes like solving a puzzle where some pieces are missing and others may have been changed. This kind of history makes diagnosis extremely difficult. One workshop may believe the problem is electronic, while another may think it is mechanical. Some may even assume the gearbox needs to be fully replaced. But replacing a Veyron gearbox is not simple at all. It is extremely expensive and takes a long time to source and install. That is why every possible option must be carefully checked before making any final decision as the investigation continues. The pressure increases. A car like this is not just a machine. It is a very expensive asset. Every day it remains broken. Its value and usability are affected. At the same time, rushing repairs could make things worse. One wrong step could lead to even more damage, turning a repair project into a complete failure. This is the risk that comes with working on high-end hypercars like the Veyron. What makes the situation even more interesting is the balance between opportunity and danger. On one hand, the car was bought at a lower price compared to the market value of working Veyrons. That gives hope that even with repair costs, it could still be worth it. On the other hand, there is no guarantee that the gearbox problem is the only issue. Hidden faults could still appear as the car is stripped down further. As engineers and specialists look deeper into the car, they must carefully document every step. Each bolt removed, each system tested, and each part inspected becomes important information. In a car this complex, even a small detail can change the entire outcome of a project. This is not just about fixing a gearbox anymore. It is about fully understanding how the entire vehicle has been affected over time. For McCann, this project represents more than just a repair job. It is a test of patience, risk-taking, and problem-solving in one of the most complicated automotive machines ever built. The Veyron is not just any car. It is a symbol of engineering excellence, and bringing one back to life is never easy. At this stage, the story is still unfolding. The gearbox issue is only one part of a much bigger challenge. Whether the car will return to full working condition or become an even more expensive lesson depends on what is discovered next inside its complex mechanical systems as the inspection moves deeper into Bugatti Veyron. The situation becomes even more serious. What first looked like a single gearbox issue starts to feel like a wider system problem. In high-performance cars like this, one fault often affects many other systems. Everything is connected and nothing works in isolation. The team working on the car begins to carefully break down the next layers. Panels are removed again. Systems are tested step by step, and every connection is checked. This slow and careful process is necessary because rushing could cause more damage. In a car like the Veyron, even a small mistake during disassembly can lead to very expensive consequences. One of the main concerns is whether the gearbox issue is mechanical or electronic. Modern hypercars rely heavily on electronic control systems. These systems send signals that tell the gearbox when and how to shift. If those signals are incorrect or missing, the gearbox may behave as if it is broken even if the internal parts are still fine. This is why diagnosis is so important before any major repair begins. At the same time, mechanical wear cannot be ignored. The Veyron produces extreme power, and over time, stress on internal components can cause damage. Gears, seals, and hydraulic parts all experience pressure far beyond what normal cars handle. If any of these parts are worn or damaged, the gearbox will not function properly. The challenge is finding out exactly where the fault lies without replacing unnecessary parts. Another difficulty comes from the car's past. Since the vehicle has already been worked on by multiple workshops, there is no clear record of what has been replaced or modified. Some parts may not even be original anymore. This adds uncertainty to every inspection step. Mechanics must treat the car almost like an unknown machine, carefully mapping its condition piece by piece as more time is spent on diagnosis. The cost and complexity of the project continue to rise. In the world of hypercars, time itself is a factor. The longer a car sits in a broken state, the more expensive and complicated it can become to repair. However, rushing is not an option either, because precision is more important than speed when dealing with such advanced engineering. Despite all the challenges, there is still motivation to continue. The Bugatti Veyron is not just any car. It is one of the most iconic engineering projects ever created. Bringing it back to life would not only restore a machine, but also prove that even the most complex automotive problems can be solved with enough skill and patience. The deeper the team goes, the more respect they gain for the engineering behind the car. Every system, every bolt, and every component shows how much thought was put into its design. It is clear that this is not a normal repair job. It is a high-level technical challenge that pushes the limits of automotive knowledge. But with every discovery comes new questions. Each time a problem is found, another possible issue appears behind it. This is what makes a project both exciting and frustrating. There's always hope for a solution, but also the constant risk of finding something worse at this point. The story is no longer just about a broken gearbox. It has become a full investigation into the condition of a world-class hypercar that has been through years of uncertainty. The outcome is still unknown, but one thing is clear. The journey to fix this Bugatti Veyron is far more complex than anyone expected as the investigation continues. The focus slowly shifts from just the gearbox to the entire drivetrain system. In a car like the Bugatti Veyron, the engine, transmission, and electronic control units all work together as one tightly connected system. If one part behaves incorrectly, the rest of the system can also show false errors or fail to respond properly. The mechanics now begin to test signals between different control units. They check communication lines, sensors, and hydraulic pressure systems. Everything must be measured carefully because even a small electrical fault can stop the gearbox from working normally. This is one of the biggest challenges in modern hypercars. The problem is often not visible, but hidden inside layers of software and electronics. At the same time, the condition of the hydraulic system becomes a major concern. The Veyron uses high-pressure hydraulics to control gear shifts, clutch movement, and other key functions. If there's even a small leak or pressure loss, the gearbox will not operate correctly. Finding these issues takes time because the system is spread throughout the entire car, not located in one simple area. As more tests are carried out, the reality of the project becomes clearer. This is not a quick repair job. It is a full restoration process that requires patience, expertise, and careful planning. Every decision must be made with full understanding of the risks involved. Replacing parts blindly is not an option because of the extreme cost and complexity. There is also growing concern about previous repair attempts. When a car has been worked on by different workshops, there's always a risk that incorrect procedures were used. A small mistake made years ago can create major problems later. This makes it difficult to trust any part of the system without fully testing again from the beginning. Despite all these challenges, progress is slowly being made. Each test eliminates one possible cause and brings the team closer to understanding the real issue. Even though the process is slow, it is necessary. In a car like the Veyron, accuracy is more important than speed. A wrong assumption could lead to replacing expensive parts that are not actually broken. The deeper they go, the more they realize how advanced the engineering really is. The Bugatti Veyron was not designed to be easy to repair. It was designed to perform at extreme levels, and that means every system is built with complexity in mind. This is what makes it both impressive and difficult at the same time. For Mark McCann, the project becomes a test of endurance. It is not just about fixing a car anymore. It is about seeing whether a heavily damaged, partially dismantled hypercar can still be brought back to life. The outcome is uncertain, but the motivation remains strong at this stage. the car is still not running. The gearbox issue has not been fully solved, and more potential problems are still being discovered. However, every step forward brings new information, and in such a complex machine, knowledge is the most valuable tool. The story of this Bugatti Veyron is still unfolding. It is a reminder that even the most advanced machines in the world can reach a point where they stop working, and fixing them is never as simple as it seems as the work continues. The team starts to realize that the biggest challenge is not just fixing parts, but understanding the full history of the car. Every previous repair attempt has left traces behind. Some parts have been replaced, some have been modified, and some may have been installed incorrectly. This makes the car feel less like a single machine and more like a collection of different repair attempts combined into one system. To move forward, the mechanics begin a full system reset approach. Instead of focusing only on the gearbox, they recheck all related systems from the ground up. This includes the engine control unit, transmission software, hydraulic pressure lines, and sensor networks. Each system must be tested one by one to confirm whether it is working correctly or sending false signals. One of the most important discoveries in this stage is that small electronic errors can create big mechanical symptoms. For example, if a sensor sends incorrect data, the gearbox may refuse to engage certain gears even if the internal parts are physically fine. This shows how deeply modern automotive systems depend on software and electronic communication. Because of this, the team spends more time on diagnostics than actual repairs. They run repeated tests, compare readings, and try to isolate the exact point where the system begins to fail. It is a slow process, but in a car like the Veyron, speed is less important than accuracy. A wrong assumption could lead to unnecessary replacement of extremely expensive parts. At the same time, pressure continues to build. A Bugatti Veyron is not just a mechanical project. It is a financial one as well. Every hour spent diagnosing or repairing adds cost. And because parts are rare and specialized, even a single replacement component can take a long time to source and install. This makes the project a constant balance between patience and pressure. Despite the difficulties, there is still hope. The fact that the engine runs and the car responds to some systems shows that it is not completely beyond repair. It is broken, yes, but not destroyed. This difference is important because it means recovery is still possible if the correct issue is found. As the investigation deepens further, the team begins to understand that the Veyron is not just suffering from one failure point. Instead, it is a combination of age, inactivity, previous work, and system misalignment. When all these factors come together, they create a situation that looks worse than it may actually be. Still, nothing is confirmed yet. The gearbox problem remains unresolved, and until it's properly fixed, the car cannot return to normal operation. Each new test brings them closer to the answer, but also reveals how carefully everything must be handled. For Mark McCann, this moment defines the reality of hypercar ownership. These vehicles are not just expensive to buy. They are expensive to maintain, diagnose, and repair when things go wrong. What looks like a bargain at first can quickly turn into a long and complex technical journey. As the story moves forward, one thing becomes clear. Fixing a Bugatti Veyron is not just about replacing broken parts. It is about understanding one of the most advanced automotive systems ever created, step by step, until the exact cause of failure is finally uncovered at this stage of the project. The focus becomes even more detailed. Every system in the Bugatti Veyron is now under review again, but with a more structured approach. Instead of guessing what might be wrong, the team begins building a complete map of how the car is responding to each test. This helps them separate real mechanical problems from false electronic warnings. One of the key steps is recalibrating the communication between control modules. In modern hypercars, different systems constantly exchange data. The engine, gearbox, and stability systems all depend on accurate communication. If one module sends